Domo domo, what is up everybody? Official Jujutsu Kaisen translator Steady here. We are here for Jujutsu Kaisen Manga Lounge, chapter 122, the Shibuya Incident part 40. Man, remember Shibuya Incident started back in chapter 83 now. I think it's been roughly, so chapter part 40 would make it about 9.5 months, which is, yeah, I mean, it seems like maybe a long time, but it's really not when you think about the grander picture and when the volumes come out and this and that. But this is as good as time as any to mention the fact that I do have a bonus video coming out this week as well. I know a lot of people, of course, have been enjoying the Shibuya Incident, but one thing is that maybe they're getting a little bit confused, and this is including myself. I'm going to be doing this new video to kind of mentally check in myself as well, to be honest, but I thought I'd share it with the fans. You know, Shibuya Incident, we've had a lot of kind of flash forwards, flashbacks, flash sideways to different places in Shibuya, and of course that's all part of the plan. You know, when you reveal certain story beats, even if it happened earlier, if you reveal it too early or in a certain sequence, then it's not as effective, right? So Akutami Sensei has certainly been very good at revealing these kind of events accordingly, but certainly that kind of messes with the mental timeline a little bit. So I literally went back and found all these timestamps that we get periodically, as well as kind of mentally tried to figure out how things happened so far in the Shibuya Incident as of part 40, chapter 122. So do look forward to that, and thank you very much for spreading that positive juju, liking it, watching it, commenting if you'd like to do so, and maybe sharing it with people that you know that do read the manga, but you know, are a little bit confused as well, but that should be coming out shortly. But today we are here for Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 122, Shibuya Incident part 40. So I hope you got something to drink ready. Got a little bit of green tea with my Arasaka from Cyberpunk 2077. Very excited about that coming out. Yeah, without further ado, here we go. Take a seat. Alright, so chapter 122 last week started off with the amazing Itadori Manji kick versus Mahito, right, of the Taido martial arts. Very cool stuff, and kind of thinking about it more as well, I think it definitely was a hint as to Itadori's kind of background a little bit, that he was formally trained in martial arts. Remember, there was a when he was talking to Junpei a little bit, Junpei asked him what his parents is like. He said that he really doesn't know his parents. I mean, we knew that from long ago with the grandpa and all that, but he says that he doesn't know his mom, doesn't really have any recollection of his mom, and his dad too, he has just a slight memory. So certainly if he was formally trained, it wouldn't be by the parents. I think could be a hint that he was trained by his grandfather. Itadori doesn't really seem much like the type to kind of join school clubs and this and that, right? As indicated in chapter 1, he doesn't really like to do those kind of formal trainings and things like that. But who knows? Maybe he went to the local Taido school and learned it there, but I don't know. I think it'll be a little bit more than that. Like, he did learn it from his grandpa, or he had some sort of mentor that he learned it from, which would be pretty cool, obviously opening up the character a little bit, right? But anyways, that's all just conjecture. We start off chapter 122 here at 11:19 p.m. We get a timestamp at the Shibuya Station Dogenzaka ticket gate. So we see Mahito and Itadori just going at it. Remember, round 2, as Mahito said. And then we see at the bottom here on page 1, Mahito kind of running alongside Yuji here on the other side of this glass panels, and then he's kind of got this little thing going on in his hand. Of course, we recognize it as the little transfigured humans that he used, but the thing he does now is that he actually shoots it and then he transfigures it, which he I don't know if that he couldn't do it before. Like Itadori mentions that he couldn't do it before, but it could be that he just didn't do it before. But either way, this is something new. We haven't really seen this before, because anytime he used to use the transfigured humans, he would always do it in his hands and then send them off, right? So this is kind of a little bit of a curveball here. And then on page 3, this is where Itadori kind of mentions this, right? He's saying he's flinging humans with delayed transfiguration, which obviously is pretty interesting, considering the flexibility that Mahito has when he does transfigure these humans. So it could be quite effective. But Mahito comes in, and you see he's got this big arm going on. But on the bottom of page 3 here, we see Itadori just dodges it, and then on page 4, boom, grabs it. And this is where Mahito's like, damn, oops. And then takes it right off. So this on page 5, you know, Mahito kind of makes that comment: if I take a risk and mess up the timing, I could end up dead. I'll stick to using transfigured humans for now. So it's kind of indicating that Mahito, you know, he expanded, he manipulated his own soul there, right? Like we've seen him do before. And then Itadori was able to break off a part of Mahito himself, not a transfigured human. So we definitely have to kind of keep that difference in mind, right? Even in the last chapter, when, you know, he punched through air, right? He was talking about how he can expand himself and stuff too, but the advantages are, well, yeah, you can make himself bigger or sharper or this and that, but he also makes himself a bigger target, and against someone like Yuji, that could be suicide, right? Itadori goes on to mention delayed transfiguration, body dismemberment, and merging. So, you know, Mahito has this very great control over his own soul manipulation as well as transferring humans. He can kind of cut off own part, his dismemberment, cut off, you know, if he's in danger, parts of his own body, which is what I think Itadori was trying to do before he grabbed his arm and maybe throw him or something. But what Mahito, it's unclear, but he probably, he probably cut that piece off before he could get thrown or something like that. Or Itadori literally did just rip it off. I don't know. Then Mahito goes on to say, reducing risk isn't the only reason I'm using transfigured humans, which of course Mahito is, you know, as much as I don't like him really, he's smart, you got to give him that, and he's very tactile. We see him run away, and then Yuji giving chase, and then he runs into these two humans here, which immediately should kind of be like a, you know, for the reader. But of course, as the, you know, for me, like looking back on it, you're like, oh, that should have been a red flag. But as a reader, you're kind of just reading through it. You don't really think twice about it, right? But then they're like, hey, watch out. What are you doing over there, kid? And then Itadori said, you know, he looks at the stairs and he said, oh, Mahito probably ran upstairs. But of course, in the next panel here, we get this creepy Mahito coming out of the mouth here. So it's not like Mahito manipulated himself to look like these two. It's that he managed to somehow slip into the human here, which is kind of a scary prospect, that he can do that, you know, without this guy noticing anyways. And then he also seems to pull a part of this, we're on page 8 now, he seems to pull a part of this human away and create this little blade here, right? So where he would typically be using a transfigured human to do something, where he would typically be using himself. Remember, before we've seen him kind of manipulate his own body to be weapons and things like that, but he seems to be able to take a human now and create weapons and stuff, which is another arrow to the quiver, so to speak, right? Then Itadori obviously getting upset here again. Hey, stop it. but keeping his cool still nonetheless. And then, you know, Mahito's like, hey, you gotta be the one to stop me, man. Are you stupid? So, of course, Mahito kind of is talking to himself here, saying that transfigured humans are effective for breaking down Itadori's mental resolve, which is very true. Even though we've seen Itadori growing a lot, he still is vulnerable to these kind of mental attacks, right? We get a very ominous face here. We're going to add one more card to the hand, which is a scary thought, because a few pages later we see Nobara, right? But this, again, we kind of flash back to 9:30 p.m. We get a timestamp here on page 9. And this is where I kind of wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit, because, and I encourage you to watch my timeline video, but basically 9:30 is immediately after Gojo is sealed. Gojo was sealed roughly at like 9:26 p.m. or so, and then remember, they can't move him, and then they're kind of like standing around the prison realm and like, what do we do? And then the cursed spirits are just like, well, we're gonna do what we want then, if you're not gonna, if you can't move prison realm. But, you know, at the time it was interesting, because we were kind of led to believe that they just kind of left Fake Geto and they just kind of went out on their own. But it's revealed here that they went up the stairs and kind of regrouped again, which may or may not be a significant detail in the fact that, you know, maybe they just kind of regrouped and said, all right, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do this, and then boom. But it could also be that they had a little chat here, away from the prying eyes of Fake Geto, because remember, everyone has their own motivations here, including the cursed spirits, because Mahito wants to do his own thing. He wants to kill Yuji. Jogo wants to revive Sukuna, help Yuji. Choso wants to go off and find more of his the Curse Rooms, the brothers, right? But he ends up running into Yuji after this. So it'll be a question of whether the fact that they regrouped after they split up from Fake Geto is significant or not. It could or couldn't be. It's a pretty small window, so whether they had some sort of weird plan or had a little chat is up for debate, but worth mentioning, I would say. But anyways, of course, the big thing here is that Mahito ends up splitting into two, which is a little bit disconcerting, because as we find out later in the chapter, it's not like just like a little clone and that's it. Although we haven't seen much of the clone, because the clone is the one that goes after Nobara, right? It would seem like they're able to communicate with each other, and, you know, it's not just like a little shadow clone where, well, you know, I guess in Naruto it is kind of like that. He's able to use it very effectively, right? But the fact that there are two Mahitos is extremely disconcerting, and whether that's able to split up into 3 or 4, I don't know. But the mere fact that he's able to do this is a huge wrench in the plans. So I don't know, but Mahito, the original one, is the one that heads downstairs, and then the clone goes upstairs. And then we move on. Obviously Jogo's not happy about this, and then we move on to 11:16 p.m. right now. Just now, that little meeting of the curse, you know, the grouping up of the cursed spirits, that was at 9:30 p.m. So it's been what, an hour and 45 minutes. So it's unclear as to whether this is the clone or the original, or if that even matters. He mentions, did you see that? Wasn't that crazy? I was just there. And this is referring to Sukuna's domain expansion, because the domain expansion had roughly went down around 11:11 p.m. Again, this is something that I highlight in my timelines video. So he's mentioning that, oh man, I was just over there in that vicinity where all that went down. Phew, that was a close one. Wasn't that crazy? So we get a confirmation here that Nobara, thank God, was not caught in the mess. At least maybe other people were, I don't know. But she recognizes the patch face, and mentions the special grade cursed spirit causing trouble for our class clown obviously being Itadori, right? And then Mahito, his, you know, typical aloof self. Ah, am I famous now? Shucks. And then, you know, Nobara, of course, with her awesome, never lets a chance to lay down some shade go. Yeah, famous for being a coward and running away. Remember referring to the first fight against, I guess, Nanami, but more probably referring to when it was Nanami and Itadori versus Mahito, right? And I love this face here on the bottom right. It's almost kind of meme worthy, like let the memes begin. I'm not smart enough to think of one, but you know, then Mahito says, I like you already, killing you should be worthwhile. So it would seem that Mahito doesn't really recognize immediately, she doesn't know who Nobara is, at least, right? But as the fight goes on here, he recognizes, perhaps from the uniform, and as he mentions the way that he talks, the way that she talks, she probably knows Itadori, which is pretty perceptive. Maybe a little bit of a loophole that Akutami just sensei decided to exploit. But the cool thing here is that on page 15 of frame 3, you know, she's saying, remember the feeling from back then referring to when she used Black Flash alongside Itadori at the Yasuhachi Bridge arc, right? And then also very cool is that she mentions feel the core of cursed energy. Now remember, this is something that that Gojo mentioned as well, when he found Toji again for their second fight. Yeah, you stabbed me and then I concentrated on healing myself, and then I could feel the core of cursed energy. So it is kind of a concept, that this idea of an understanding of cursed energy, which is very cool, which Nobara seemed to at least have kind of grabbed for a second at the Yasuhachi Bridge arc, and she's trying to kind of relive that feeling here against Mahito. But very cool, she and shoots the nails here, and then purposely misses Mahito and has that kind of this billboard above come down, and then boom, she comes in like with this like, what do you call it? What kind of kick is this? I don't know. Like you would only see it in video games or something. But yeah, so cool. And then we see more nails inside this billboard here, and then snap, hairpin, right? We've seen hairpin used against Kechizu at the Yasuhachi Bridge arc as well. Remember, she and then killed the brother, right? Apparently not enough against Mahito, which is kind of disconcerting because we don't know the extent of Nobara's powers, what she can really do. So we know that she's done Black Flash before, but she can't really do it at will, possibly. It's not, Black Flash, remember, is not really something that you do at will. So this is where we kind of have Mahito talking about, yeah, so she recognizes that this person knows Itadori. They probably are fond of each other. Not fond of it, they're not shipping, that's not what I meant. But they're friends. And then nobody, you know, and then he's saying that I'll bring her dead body to Yuji Itadori and destroy his soul, which is obviously a very disconcerting last panel to finish on. And although I don't think Akutami sensei would actually follow through on something like that, to be honest, anything goes. But yeah, with Nanami, you're like, I don't want them to do that to Nanami, but you're kind of like, okay, it is within the realm of possibility for Shonen Jump anyways, right? But doing that to someone like actually killing Nobara, I don't think it'll happen. I mean, like, I can bet money on it. Like, we're talking about 99% chance that it wouldn't happen, but this isn't Chainsaw Man. Let's just put it that way. Now that's a depressing, it's excellent manga. I'm enthralled every week, but this isn't Chainsaw Man, right? So But we don't know. We don't know. And I don't want to ponder on it too much because I'll just get depressed thinking about it. But anyways, yeah, that was chapter 122, Shibuya Incident Part 40. Hope you enjoyed my insight here. Thanks very much for spreading that positive juju with a like and comment and all that. And definitely keep an eye out. Subscribe if you want to get that notification on the timeline video, and I'll have a lot of exciting other Jujutsu Kaisen videos coming up too. But yeah, hey, with that, you know how we do. Cheers to you.